You join me at Swan Valley in Yateley, Hampshire, and I'm here with CarpFix competition winner, Dave O'Flynn. We met the bailiff this morning, we had a brief walk round. He's picked a swim called Mr. Big Fish, which sounds like a good swim, and I am in here, number 17. Right then, we are in swim 18 on Swan Valley, and it's a swim I know nothing about. I've got no idea where the spots are. There's a load of weed off to the right, and beyond that weed is some really serious overhanging trees. They look like they've all been cut off at the water surface, so there's like nothing going in the water, but they are creating large canopies over the margins there. On top of that, I've seen several fish there, not loads, but several fish under the trees. Looks well carpy under there. Well carpy. The bottom is glowing yellow. Despite the water's fairly murky, you can see like the glow of the bottom that tells me obviously it's very clear. Secondly, it's probably created by feeding fish, you know, very, very likely that that's the case. And there's a lot of fish in this corner of the lake. A lot of fish in the weed, a lot of fish cruising around, and a lot of bubbling. Bubbling that's definitely being created by fish. I'm not saying feeding fish, but fish that are either coming into contact with silty bottom, disturbing up the gases and letting them come to the surface, or I think just as likely, or probably even more likely, is that there's weed below the surface that I can't see, and as the fish are moving through that, obviously knocking some air off of that, disturbing it and causing bubbles to come into the surface. But we're on the fish, that's certain. There's definitely fish here, but the most important thing is going to be the spots, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet until I have a little feel around, but yeah, really looking forward to it. Dan's over there in Mr. Big Fish, and if we don't get anything, we've got the run of the lake for 4 days, which is, you know, in carp fishing terms, that's what I call millionaires fishing. You know, you've got the whole lake to go at, and yeah, I can't wait to get started. Oh mate, I love this swim. I don't care if I catch anything. Right then, I've decided to fish with just 2 rods. And the main reason for that is it's pretty weedy out there, and it's going to be difficult to get my lines down and well sunk out of the way. So I've decided on 2 spots. One is under the overhanging trees that I'm going to use the bait boat to position. It's all clear under there, as in the trees have been cut off at the water level, so there's nothing in the water that you can get snagged on. It's polished gravel under there. Keep seeing fish there. It should be an absolute banker, but it almost looks too good to be true. And other than that, there's a lot of fish been patrolling around 30-35 yards out, and I spoke to the bailiff John earlier, and he said to me he's fished this swim recently. He had quite a good hit of fish at 8 3/4 wraps out there, just to the left of that prominent big tree on the horizon. Now I've leaded around there with a bare lead to start with, and I found a tiny gravel spot. There's a lot of weed, there's the odd bit that's just smooth and clear, but there is a tiny dinner plate, maybe a bit bigger than dinner plate, gravel spot, typical of the Yateley spots that I used to fish at the car park lake back in the day. I popped the float up there. It's about 7 to 8 foot deep. I've catapulted some 10mm essential cell, 1 kilo of them covered in smart liquid, and then I've spommed some 15mm frozen cell with a little bit of smart liquid again, and they're sort of more compact on the spot. Because of the disturbance there and the amount of bait I've put out, I think that spot's going to take a bit of a while to kick off, if at all, because the amount of bait out there. Whereas this one under the trees is just seeing regular traffic. I've got a handful of bait in the boat, fish for 1 bite, and I just think that's going to be the one that does the first bite. But yeah, let's get the rods out. For all the talk of spring and autumn being the best times to catch carp, I really do feel that August is massively underrated as one of the best months to catch carp. Obviously in the spring the water is still warming up and they've got spawning on their mind, and in the autumn the water is cooling, and as that happens they do tend to feed less. Now in August spawning is very much likely to be well out of the way. The water is likely to be fully warmed through, and because of those two facts I feel that the carp will probably eat more during this month than at any other time of year. Obviously different venues can be different, but for me I really do feel August to be one of the best months, and also one of the months where you can feed the most bait. Right then, that is the rods set. I'm pretty happy with them. Left hand spot, the gravel patch is real small, took quite a few casts to get it on there, but don't suppose it matters how many times you cast out as long as you're happy with it once you put it down in the rest. Both rods, as usual, have got the combi multi-rigs on, 12mm cell wafters on each, match the hatch. I imagine a lake like this sees an awful lot of bright pop-ups, all that sort of stuff, and I'm sure this time of year on very pressured venues that match the hatch is probably an edge as opposed to having a bright pop-up on. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens tonight. I'm sure Dan's over there rubbing his hands together, feeling really confident in Mr. Big Fish, and hopefully we'll see you in the night. Right then, the right hand rod, the one that was under the trees, placed with the bait boat. Bobbin just pulled to the top, sort of held there. Wasn't sure if it was a bite or a liner, and it sort of dropped back and then pulled back up to the top. Fish is away from the trees, but there's loads of thick weed to the right, and it's just really slowly coming through that weed. I don't want to pull too hard, risk pulling the hook, just trying to really gently, you can hear it wallowing on the top, just ease it through the weed. I think most of the weed is like floating rather than anchored, but it's like all gathered in this part of the lake. Really slowly bringing it through the weed. That's it. I might have to go and scoop it with a net, if I can. You see this weed bed I'm bringing in? Look. Right, you can see my tubing here, and the carp is somewhere there. I can't get the net up because of the weed. Is he in there? He's in there. He's in there just. He's in there. Now that is madness. There it is, tiny little common after all that. Oh. But we got him. Right then, it's before midnight and it's not worth retaining this one. It's a small one. I'm just going to give you a brief little show, little small comment. I'll show him to you and just slip him back real quick. Look, it's your typical cricket bat common. Cricket bat. Oh, there he goes. That's gone. He's gone. Well, the rod that was on the bait has just gone. Suddenly, almost simultaneously, it started raining, and as you can see, there's another little common on the end. Unbelievable. In she goes. Get in there. Oh no. Oh, fly in the eye. Yeah. Right then, just been dragged from the pit. Guessing it's not long after first light, and the single bait that was cast back out there in the night after the second small common has gone again. Really hard to tell what sort of, oh there it is on the top, whether it's a good fish or what. So much weed out there. I've got a lot of weed around the line. But conditions could not be any better. Really, really good late summer conditions these. Gonna get the rod straight back out there and make the most of this morning spell. Oh yeah. Big weed berg. Yes, there, it's in there. Yes, get in there. I'm going to rename this swim Miss Small Fish. Oh. Good morning after what has been a very busy night. First run came just before midnight on the rod fished under the bushes on the far bank. I let that one go out of the landing net because it was a small one and it was quite early. And that rod remained propped against the bivvy because it was too dark to get it back under the trees. However, the rod at 8 3/4 wraps that John the bailiff told me about was not to be outdone. The tiny gravel patch producing 3 commons just like this one, all falling over the bed of 10mm and 15mm cell coated in the smart liquid. And the plan moving forward is to rebait that spot probably around lunchtime, reel in, go round see Dan, have a little chat with him. And he had a 27 common last night, so things are looking very good for the remainder of our session.